listening to Into the Arena, a Hunger Games podcast sparking the fandom one episode at a time, with your hosts, Holly and Emily. Special thanks for music by Sam Cushion.
Welcome back, tributes, to episode 11 of Into the Arena. I'm Holly.
And I'm Emily.
And today's episode is a very controversial one. It is our Gale Hate Club episode, a deep dive into the character that is Gale Hawthorne. But in the meantime, before we jump into things, make sure to follow us on our Instagram, our TikTok, Facebook, YouTube, everything at Into the Arena Podcast on all our platforms. And join us for Mockingjay Monday nights, which are obviously on Monday. And we will be reading chapters 7 and 8 of Ballad. So it's pretty much just a little book talk, book discussion. So if you have time and you want to read some Ballad with us, join us on our live on Instagram. And
so
here we go.
I guess
Let's get into it.
Getting right into Gale, kind of our pre-game, it's all going to be Gale related, but we asked you guys, our listeners, if you had any hot takes, feelings, opinions on Gale, because definitely we want to incorporate what the fandom thinks, what you guys think. So I guess I'll just start reading them. I'll read the kind of like shorter ones first.
Okay.
So from Rochelle, some people just responded like that they hate Gale. So she just said, "We stan a Gale hate club."
Yes, join the Gale hate club, please.
Official member.
We're actually going to do our initiation coming up, guys, to the Gale hate club. And if you want to be a part of it, let us know, because we need
send us your Gale hate. Hunger Games fanboy said, "I don't hate him. I just think he's a very unlucky person." Do you think he's just an unlucky person?
I don't think he's unlucky. I feel like that's not the word to describe him in the series. Like, there's definitely other characters I can pick that are more unlucky than he is. I just think that, like, he's unlucky in the sense that he lost the love of his life, but
it's unlucky that Katniss was picked. Yeah. But yeah, it's unlucky that Prim is the unlucky one.
Yes, that's what I was gonna say. Prim is my unlucky character.
I mean, I guess it's unlucky, but I guess I wouldn't use, you're right, unlucky isn't the right word to say. Like, it's unlucky that like Prim died because of the bombs, but I feel like that was more, it's not so much unluckiness as just like what he chose to be involved in.
Not the word I would use. I get it. I mean,
an interesting take though. Yeah.
He's unlucky that he's stuck at home being the little sweetheart, but whatever.
We love the boy with the bread. Love that name. Said, "We love Gale Hate Club. I think he's very aware of himself and knows exactly what he wants, but not others. Like Katniss. Katniss didn't want to kill people or start a war, but that's all he wanted."
Yeah.
I think that's true. That's pretty much his mentality in, as we start to see in Catching Fire.
Yeah.
I think he wants the revolution and the rebellion more than anything else.
I think that he's a very like selfish, selfless person, if that makes sense. Like, he will die for the cause that he's really passionate about, but when he comes back home, or when Katniss comes back home from the first games, like, it's not about Katniss anymore. It's all about him and his emotions and what he's going through as opposed to what she's going through. And so it's just like a downward spiral at that point, in my opinion.
Thank you. We love the boy with the red.
Yeah.
From Megan. Hot take, Gale is the straight worst. I don't know if that's a hot take, but I love it. I honestly think he only wanted to be friends with her to get in her pants. If he was in the Hunger Games with Katniss, he would have killed her and not even had a second thought. Team penis forever. See, okay, I actually have been, I'll get more into it, but I have been arguing with people since 2010 that if Gale and Katniss were in the arena, that Gale is not going to kill Katniss. Like, no way. Yeah. I just can't get on board with that hot take.
I think it's kind of extreme. I think we should definitely get into it in a little bit. The people that he does care about, he cares about them so intensely. I think he just becomes blind to everything around him. And so I don't think he would be able to kill her. But at the same time, I don't think they would have been able to pull off some sort of like rebellion situation as well. Like, I don't even know. I honestly think they would have to send Mutts into that situation, if I'm being honest with you.
Yeah, that's exactly what I think would happen. I don't think they would come to that point of figuring out a way for them to both win, because I don't think the rules would have changed for the two of them, because they would have been together regardless, whereas Katniss and Peeta, they had to kind of come up with that new rule to get them together because the audience wanted to see them together. So I don't think they would have come down to the two of them and figured out a way for them to both get out of it. The Capitol would definitely have had to send Mutts in or something, and then one of them would just end up dying in the process. But I don't think Gale would kill her. Like, there's no way. He does care about the people that he loves a lot, and he loves Katniss, so I just don't see it.
I mean, the part about getting into her pants is one thing that I could see.
I'm like, I don't know, because she was like, how old? Like 12?
But he was 14.
And he was 14. At that point, I think he was just kind of like, oh, girls.
But then he like grew into her. I feel like he's like, ooh, Katniss, you know?
Yeah, but then that's like based on like a relationship.
Yeah,
right.
But then he wanted to get in her pants.
Just wanting to get into her pants.
I just have such a hard time like understanding Gale fully, because he's just so like destructive. He's just like touches something and then destroys it, or expects to be like pitied all the time, expects to be like waited on hand and foot, doesn't get his way. He's like a toddler, honestly.
Okay, so you're agreeing with this hot take of Megan's that, I mean, I agree Gale is the straight worst. Like,
that part we can agree on.
Fantastic. But you think he was friends with her just to get in her pants?
I feel like it was probably like 70% of the reason why he stayed her friend. Because he wanted to be with her.
Okay, Megan. Interesting hot take.
We love Megan. She's also being initiated to our Gale Hate Club too. So.
Yes, welcome to the club.
This next comment is from Tor6, who is a Gale defender, so not a part of our Gale Hate Club, but you're allowed to have your own opinion. We're not here to bash people with their own opinion. So Tor6 said, everyone is like Gale, and Gale is evil. They're going to give us their reasons as to why they enjoy Gale. So Gale is cool and should have been with Katniss, not Peeta, because Gale fed Katniss's family during the Hunger Games. Gale saw Prim as a second sister, and he was friends with Katniss and brought her bread for free. You know how expensive that is. True. They hunt together, and they were close, but no simp god had to take the love of his life away. And he was talking about a rebellion way before the rebellion actually happened. He did not want his family and friends and others to live as poor of a life as they had lived. And so when 12 got bombed, he didn't want to kill Prim. It was by accident. But now Panem is happy under the command of Commander Paler. So he really is he really the butthole, or is it Peeta who loved Katniss and went to the arena with her and took Gale's future wife? He didn't do that on purpose. It's not like Peeta was like reaped in and like.
He might have done it on purpose eventually though.
Yeah, true. But he didn't choose to go into the games and steal someone's future wife. And they're definitely Team Gale. # died Peeta die. Peeta took Gale's best friend away for him going into the arena. # Team Gale. I can see
this a lot.
I mean, like, I will defend Gale in the first book and movie.
Same.
100%. Putting yourself into Gale's position and watching your best friend, the love of your life, all that you know, go off to this arena and then like play this showmance up out of nowhere. Like, that's completely out of Katniss's character of what he knows of her. I completely get it. I would be like, what are you doing? Get back home right now. But his actions post Hunger Games are not justified at all. And he's just an emotional mess. I think he manipulates a lot of people to kind of get what he wants. Like I said, he's kind of like toddler vibes for me. But Katniss chose Peeta in the end. She didn't choose Gale. So maybe it was his future wife, but that's not what Suzanne wanted, I guess. So not meant to happen. But we appreciate your comment. I'm not pro hashtag die Peeta die, but I can respect the reasons why you love Gale. Thanks for sharing.
He did save a lot of people in District 12.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that's definitely his most heroic, his best moment of the entire series.
We should do Gale highlights.
Okay, I think we have 2 more comments. Okay, this is from Cherish.
Cherish, okay, queen.
Forever jumping the TL. He's kind of cute. I mean, yeah.
Yeah.
There is that. The movies do have that. He's probably attractive in the books too, right? Katniss says that.
He's cute. We get it. We get it, Gale.
Yeah,
He's
but
a looker.
it's about more than looks.
Yeah.
And Cherish also said that he would kill Katniss in the Hunger Games if it came down just the 2 of them, which I wholeheartedly disagree with.
Yeah, I have to agree with Emily on this one.
Cherish didn't give any reasons, so
sorry, Cherish. I have to agree with Emily. We already talked about it. It's not happening.
He would just be selfish because he has a ton of siblings and Katniss only has Prim.
And then he takes Prim away from her. So, like, whatever.
Yeah.
Whatever.
Guess you didn't care about Prim that much.
Yeah.
Do you have one from AJ, the Hunger Games collector, on Instagram? So they said, I actually didn't like / mind Gale up until Katniss returns from the first games. I understand what his mindset is, but I don't like it, nor do I think it's good for post-games Katniss. I think he had a hard time understanding where her mindset was, but I also think that he didn't really try to understand her either. I think he was blinded by his own selfishness and projected that onto Katniss. It's a shame because I think a Katniss-Gale platonic friendship post-games and during the rebellion would have been really cool to see. However, I certainly appreciate the symbolic conflict it brings to the story.
That I could not have said better.
Yeah, I agree with that a lot.
Yeah. Well, I think it just comes down to, like, again, he was just such a sore loser. Like, the stakes at that point was not like a romantic relationship when Katniss got back from the games. The stakes were her mental well-being and, like, healing from such a traumatic life experience. And he just kind of went like, oh, so you love Peeta now? That's it? Like, and she's like, no, that's not the deal here. Like, that was an act. She explains it to him, and yet he just refuses to see it. And because he doesn't get his way, he throws a pity party and then gaslights Katniss into thinking that everything is her fault and, like, she has to love him. She has to pick one of them. Mind you, she's 16 at the time, 16, 17.
Yeah, she's so young.
It's like, let her, do you realize that she killed kids? And then it's like, oh wait, no, Gale actually believed in killing kids, or like was the same thing as killing animals. You know what I mean? It's like, I don't know. So much negativity. Let this woman go through her emotions, try and reflect and grow as a human instead of pushing her into, like, being in this really awful relationship with you. So that's that.
Oh yeah, that was perfect comment.
Yes. So you are also welcome into our Gale Hate Club. Seriously.
Yes, welcome.
It's gonna be a group. Hey guys, welcome. So glad you're here.
I guess, should we just talk about Gale kind of in the order of, like, starting with the Hunger Games? Because both of us have, I think, a better opinion. Like, he's just fine in the Hunger Games. And so, like, I think starting off there would be good. Rereading, I reread a lot of Gale scenes for this episode. And actually I feel like there's a cute, like, it's kind of cute when they meet for the first time and we, like, see them on the morning of the reaping and how they're interacting. I kind of wish that we had gotten more Gale and Katniss at the beginning of the Hunger Games, because it's not very much to go off of, to be honest. And it's a lot of, like, telling and not showing, like, what happened between them and saying, oh, this is what their relationship is. And it's developed over, you know, how many years, and we don't really see as much of it. It's just Katniss, like, giving us a summary of what their relationship is. But rereading that scene, like, there's some cute moments, like when they do that and may the odds be ever in your favor. Like, in the movie it's a lot more somber, I guess, and in the book they're kind of just having a fun, like, silly moment. They're, like, playing up the fact that they have to joke about it. They're eating berries and like he like throws it to her and she like catches it in her mouth, and I'm like, oh, it's so cute.
Yeah.
Like, the relationship is like fun. Like you can see that they really enjoy hanging out together.
Mm-hmm.
But then at the same time, we really don't get much more Gale in the Hunger Games.
No, see, I love, like, one of my favorite shots from the first movie is when Prim's on Gale's shoulders and you see them, like, when Katniss is getting back from the games, like, that, his smile is so wholesome. Like, that's what I want to read about. That's the Gale I want to see. I want to see, like, the loving and caring and supporting character that, like, he could have been. Instead, he, like, forces himself and, like, forces this relationship on Katniss that she clearly doesn't want or need at the time. And so, like, just like that little moment is so wholesome in the first book, because, like, just imagine if he had been a friend and had been there to support her and they had more moments like that. I think it would have built his character a lot better.
Did we get that at the end of the Hunger Games book? Like she sees everybody?
I don't know. Let's see.
And it ends like in dreading like the moment that I have to let go.
Oh right? Yeah, because they're on the train. Ooh, get out. Fake fan alert. Fake fan alert.
I just remember the Peeta parts, okay?
Same. Yeah, because it's like they're preparing for the cameras and dreading the moment when I finally have to let them go. Yeah.
Yeah, they don't even see like the crowd really. Like they don't have that moment. It's like it ends right before.
Yeah. So I mean, like, I like how they added that in the movie.
Yeah. Well, they really needed to.
Mm-hmm.
Because otherwise, it's like, what is Liam gonna do in the movie?
Just like vibe and like be in the mines. Like that one shot where they're in the cave scene and like it pans to his face and he's just like, and it's just like sad Gale. Like
those are so funny.
Like it's just like moments like that, it makes it seem like they're in a relationship, and like that's why his heart is broken, you know, because we don't get to know that they're just friends as much.
Yeah, because we don't get that inner dialogue from Katniss like in the book.
See, like what I would have wanted so much if we did see Gale and Katniss post Hunger Games, like she comes back from the games, I would have wanted to see him like coming to her house as much as he possibly could. Like I know he like started in the mines like 6 days a week afterwards, but like I know he saves Sundays for her, but like just like little acts of kindness or like thoughts that he's like thinking about her. I don't know. It just felt like when we hear how he's like back in the mines all the time, like I can't imagine how tiring that would be, but like I don't know. I just wanted him to like try and like do little things to like prove to her that he was there for her, because like she needed support in that moment, and like he knew Katniss a lot better than anyone else at the time. And so it's just like I really wish that he would have been that character that was there for her.
Yeah, in Catching Fire, he's already acting like it's over and he's lost and he's angry right away. And it's like, well, she's never gonna pick you now. I mean, like,
well, he's like a kicked puppy. It's like, give her some time. Like the time between the Hunger Games and Catching Fire is 6 months roughly. So it's like, she's not just gonna be perfectly okay, perfectly ready to move on and be in a relationship, even if like Snow had allowed her to be in one and they didn't say that was her cousin.
I will say though, I feel like Gale is like a step ahead in realizing that Katniss and Peeta are like gonna have to get married.
Yeah.
And Katniss doesn't realize that. Like she has that moment of realization like a little bit into Catching Fire, and I think Gale's already there. Like he knows it's never gonna pan out in a public way. But it's like they could have, you know, if Katniss did choose him, they could have had a relationship in secret or something. Like, I don't know. There were ways.
Yeah, and it was just like he almost blames her. And like the whole point,
he does. It feels like he blames her. and it's like, not her fault at all.
So gaslighting of him to do. Like, you think about like Katniss and Peeta's relationship in the first Hunger Games. Peeta has feelings for Katniss. Katniss does not have feelings for Peeta. She cares for him as a person and as like a friend at some point. Like, that's as far as her personal relationship goes towards him. But it's like, she did that. She acted as like the lovers from District 12 because her life depended on it and Peeta's life depended on it. Like, Gale is so selfish to put that blame on her and continually do so. It's not just like once and then she clears it up and then he's like, oh, okay, that makes sense. Like, he perpetuates like the situation over and over and over. It's just like, Gale, like, you don't realize that she literally did this to save everyone's lives. Like, she talks about if somehow she had survived and then had to kill Peeta and then came back to District 12, half the district would hate her because she murdered her district partner. Like, she never had it easy in the way that she had to get out of the games. And so I'm just like, that's the one thing that I'm so furious about him for. It's like, that was for survival and you told her to survive and that's what she did. So it's like, chill.
And we see that so clearly paralleled with Peeta and his reaction to everything and how he responds totally different. I mean, he is angry at the beginning, like at the end of the Hunger Games and at the beginning of Catching Fire as well. He's upset that Katniss pretended for the cameras, but he goes away, like he thinks about it on his own and he comes to that realization and he has more of a right to be upset about the whole thing than Gale does, because Gale and Katniss never had any relationship. It's just, Gale's feelings on his side, whereas Katniss did pretend to like Peeta in the arena. So I can understand that he's upset, but she did it to survive, same explanation that she gives to both of them. And Peeta goes away, he thinks about it, and he comes back and he's like, okay, you're right. Like, let's be friends.
Yeah. And he appreciates the fact that she saved his life by putting on that act. Because he could pretend all he wanted that he was in love with her, but she also had to like reciprocate those feelings in some way. And so if she doesn't actually have feelings, she's just gonna have to pretend to have those feelings.
Yeah, so it's like, Gale, just be happy she's alive.
Yeah, exactly.
She made it back.
He's like, oh, go off and murder all these kids. It's no different than killing animals, Katniss. And then he's like mad at her that she like has a showman. Yeah. I'm like, it's almost a little sexist to me in that way, because like he wants her to survive by any means possible, but like the one means that she has
she uses like her femininity.
Yeah, and he gets mad at her for it. And like I said, it would have been a completely different conversation had Gale been like, what the heck, Katniss? When she got back, she explains it once, he sits on it, like takes it in like Peeta did, and then understands her, or like tries to understand and like talks to her more. But instead she tells him, he gets mad, he shuts down, he puts this wall on, pity me. And then she keeps telling him like, no, like I had to survive, I'm telling you this. And he keeps putting that wall up. It's like, dude, come on. So much respect lost for Gale, like at the beginning of Catching Fire.
They do have a nice like kiss though. Like I read that again and it seemed like Katniss was kind of into it.
Katniss was emotionally unstable during that period though.
I know, but like, she's like, oh, I like somehow suddenly I find like my hands are on his chest and like I'm thinking about his lips.
We get it, he's hot. We get it. Like Liam Hemsworth is a hot man. We get it, Katniss. We're not shaming you. But I mean, she's a young woman too. She's learning about these like emotions and feelings for different people, and so you can't penalize her there, I guess. So go after it for a minute.
Try it out.
Like Cherish said, he is hot.
He is. I kind of like that moment.
Okay. Emily's like on the Gale train now. She's like, bye.
I think for me though, like where I get like, I mean, we're talking about Catching Fire now. Where I get really upset is where he kisses her and that scene where he's like, oh, I knew you'd do that because I'm in pain. Like that is the worst scene.
Yeah.
I hate it so much.
Like,
Gale is so nasty.
that is just so toddler Gale. So toddler Gale. Like, then why, like, she kissed you and then you complain about it. So what do you want from her? Like, what do you want, Gale? What do you want? Because the same situation happens in Mockingjay too. So it's like, I don't know. This man's complicated.
He's angry at her for picking someone that she hasn't even like chosen.
Exactly.
It's
Exactly.
like, so of course she's never gonna pick you.
Yeah, he just
You're
like,
digging your own grave.
yeah, he has this weird claim on her where it's like you said, he's like, oh, you pity me, like you feel bad for me. And then in Mockingjay, it's like, you only kiss people when they're hurt, or like, you only kiss me when I'm hurt. It's like, dude, what do you want? Do you want her to kiss you? Do you want her to like leave you? Like, I think you're really having some like emotional problems that he needs to see a therapist and talk through these like emotional pains through,
Mhm.
because he is
Because
just,
he's angry at the world. Like
yeah.
he's angry at the way that things are, and like I get that, but he takes it so much out on Katniss.
Not healthy
It's yeah, so unhealthy.
in any form, like even in a friendship, like that's not healthy in the mental state, especially that she's in. But part of me in Catching Fire, like one of my favorite parts to read is the first chapter of Catching Fire, where she goes to visit Hazel, and Hazel talks about like, oh well, his Sundays are reserved for you. Like, that is just like a really wholesome moment. And like, I don't like Gale, but I like the idea of him being there, and like them sharing those friendship moments, and her being able to like have that safe space to talk to him about what happened with her. He experiences her PTSD firsthand when she shoots the turkey, and it's Marvel, and she has like this huge moment. Like, again, like I said, Gale knows her so well at this point that it's like, why does she have to feel these romantic feelings for you? Why can't she just be a human experiencing trauma and you be there to support her? Because if you want her in the end, then you can't just be forcing yourself into this relationship status all the time. Like, Peeta does not do that. Like you said, Peeta just takes some time. He sits back, he
Does some painting, does
reflects.
some baking.
Yes. He sleeps with the windows open, like he's
Nazi
relaxing.
shoelaces.
No sugar in that man's tea. He is just vibing on his own. And then Gale's over here starting like World War III with an emotionally unavailable woman. Like,
I think he just doesn't know what else to do.
mm-hmm.
He just puts all his energy into, fight, fight, fight. And Katniss is like done fighting.
Mm-hmm.
So they're just such polar opposites.
But it's so interesting because they're not polar opposites. Like, they're the
Yeah.
same character, but they react
But
differently
because
of
of
their
like
experience.
what Katniss went through.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
It's just like, come on, man. If you want it to happen, don't rush it. You kids are young. Take some time.
But then like tomorrow she's getting married to Peeta.
True.
It's
Which
just
is a
it's
problem.
all messed up.
Yeah, it's just messed up. I think I always forget that they are literally between the ages of 16 and 18 when I read these books. I'm just like, oh yeah, they are children.
They're kids.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Gale just has some daddy issues he's working through, and he just doesn't know where to put all his emotions at. So,
And he throws it on Katniss, which is why we hate him.
yes, it's a problem always if you're pushing that's that much of your problems onto someone else, and doing so in such a negative and like non-productive way. But if, like I said, this woman is coming back from a war, like, give her some time, dude, give her some time.
Yeah, that's interesting you put it that way. I mean, we know the arena's a war, but it's like she's coming back from war and he wants to go into war and start one. So that's why they're like headspace is just it's such a different place and so conflicting.
Let's just imagine couples therapy between the two had they ended up together. Just her like, he actually killed my sister, and just some family drama, no big deal. But I guess that brings us into Mockingjay, where it is his book and movie to shine. Like, Liam Hemsworth really got that starring role in the movies because Gale is here always.
Yeah. Poor
Just because
Liam,
Peeta is
just
not
waiting,
there.
waiting for
Yeah,
Mockingjay so he could actually do something. But he
literally.
still doesn't even do that much.
It just makes me, reading Mockingjay makes me hate Gale even more. Like, so I start up here with liking Gale at the beginning of Hunger Games, and then it just goes down, down, down. Like,
Yep.
this man is just so, like, Suzanne talks about how he is the fire, and he is the fire. There's no other way to put him. He is just wanting more. He is wanting hate. He is wanting, like, what he wants. He is so passionate about it. He has these goggles on. He can't see anything outside the goggles. The bomb he builds, I mean, like, did he intend for it to kill Prim? No. Did it kill Prim? Yes. You know, it's like this man had a goal and he didn't care how he would have to get to that goal. He just had to get there. And in the end, he kills Prim. So one of the points in particular that stands out to me is when they're at District 2 talking about, like, I don't know, like, what it was. They were like trying to get they're trying to get District 2 to surrender. And what's the mountain called?
The Nut?
The Nut, yeah. They're like trying to
I
get
kind of want
people,
to find this part.
like, because there's like a really important Gale moment there.
I think that's one of the most upsetting. There's a lot of upsetting moments with
Yeah.
Gale.
But rereading Mockingjay, it just talks about how Katniss wants them to have the ability to surrender and leave. I just don't like saying leave the nut. Katniss wants them to be able to surrender and leave the nut. And if the District 2 people choose to. But Gale's saying there, like, well, they didn't give us a chance to evacuate District 12. And like, I didn't have a chance to surrender. And all those dead people in District 12 didn't have a chance to surrender. And it's just like, well, they weren't, like, technically the ones who were bombing you. Like, the whole war is against the Capitol. Like, he just holds grudges against these people who probably all of them in there, most of them in there, assumingly, didn't even touch anything that happened in District 12, you know? So it's just like he's just such a hate-filled person that it just drives him to, like, always want to hurt other people and get back at them for his own losses.
Sorry, I'm looking.
There's like so many lines in that part that just hurt
I
me.
just passed the part that's like, Finnick, maybe some pants.
That's a good part. That's a happy moment. Chapter 15. This is when they're just debating it. He goes, so BT says, the majority of the workers are citizens from 2. So what, says Gale, we'll never be able to trust them again. And then Lime says they should at least have the chance to surrender. Gale says, well, that's a luxury we weren't given when they firebombed 12. But you're all so much cozier with the Capitol here, says Gale. It's just like, he's just so...
It's revenge.
Yes.
It's just like, straight up revenge. And like, it just makes me so frustrated.
Gale, the nut's an old mine. It'd be like causing a massive coal mining incident. And he goes, but not so quick as the one that killed our fathers. Is that everyone's problem, that our enemies might have a few hours to reflect on the fact that they're dying instead of just being blown to bits? It's like, he is just so filled with awfulness and hate and like this disgusting, like, the passion is no longer for like a free world. The passion is just for revenge.
Yeah, he doesn't care about human life. And it's interesting, it reminds me of a scene earlier in Mockingjay, I think, where I can't remember exactly what Gale says, but he says something about like, well, after all of this, like, there won't be any people left. And then Katniss is like, that sounds like something that Peeta would say, and like, you were really angry at him for saying something like that. It's like, he's so hypocritical.
Yeah. And the fact that he gets so mad at Peeta at first when Peeta is being forced by the Capitol to say these things. Like, I know everyone gets mad.
That movie scene, like, I would never say what he just said.
Yeah, it's
Not
like
with a gun to my head. I was like, okay, Gale, whatever.
it's like, let's put the gun to your head. Let's bring you to the Capitol. Let's put you in that position and let's see how you act because I don't think so. Like you're talk the talk, but like
Yeah,
can you
because
walk
then
the
it's like
walk?
then you'd be dead and like for what? For nothing.
Yeah,
And like you wouldn't be
exactly.
able to get your revenge.
Yeah.
So
Just so many problems with this man. So many
I know
problems.
I don't there's like no good scenes of Gale and Mockingjay at all.
No, and oh, the worst part. So that is my second worst Gale part. The absolute worst part is the end of Mockingjay. We're talking post Prim's death, and he doesn't come to see her.
Yeah.
So
To be honest, like because you've talked about this part a little bit, like not in so much detail, but before. And I had never really because I had a lot of reasons to hate Gale, but when you explained this at the end, like I just never had seen it that way before. When you compared to, okay, if Peeta had done something like this,
mm-hmm.
he would be there. He would be
Yes,
there. And
anyone
like
would be
Gale
there.
wasn't.
Like Gail is supposedly the closest person in her life when we see her for the first time in the Hunger Games. He like I have such a hard time saying that he is the one who killed Prim. Like he did,
I do too. I've
you know,
always
like
struggled with that. I'm like, he didn't because in my view, okay, they are in a war. It's not like you can't be a pacifist. Like they have to win the war somehow. Somebody's got to make the bombs. Like, you know, it's his job.
mm-hmm.
And that's what he was skilled in that area. Okay. So him killing Prim, I just don't I don't see it that way. He did have a hand in it, and it's unfortunate that he was tied to it
Mm-hmm.
so much. But then he was just so selfish about it afterward. Like
Yeah.
like you're saying. I mean, you can talk about the
Let
scene.
me look for this scene. Let's see. Where is little boy? Page 366 in my book. We stand there, face to face, not meeting each other's eyes. Katniss says, "You didn't come to see me in the hospital." He doesn't answer, so I finally just say it. "Was it your bomb?" "I don't know, neither does BT," he says. "Does it matter? You'll always be thinking about it." He waits for me to deny it. I want to deny it, but it's true. Even now, I can see the flash that ignites her, feel the heat of the flames, and I will never be able to separate that moment from Gale. My silence is my answer. "That was the one thing that I had going for me, taking care of your family," he says. "Shoot straight, okay?" He touches my cheek and leaves. Like, that's the last we hear of Gale. And, like, as much as I have a hard time with Gale, like, obviously we're here because we don't like Gale, but that's so heartbreaking for me that his final goodbye is so short and just another pity party. It's like the last thing he says to her is, "Oh, you're never going to
Mm.
pick me because I killed your sister and you're going to tie that to me forever."
It's like, no, I'm never gonna pick you because you do this every single time and
Yeah.
continue to do it. So like you never even tried to understand or like make this actually work in any way.
And it's just like I will always defend that point that like he could have came back and seen her for the like any like I know she doesn't want to see him probably
But
like
she could have given him the choice or given
yeah.
her the choice,
Yeah. To
which
say I can't see
Peeta would
you.
come and say like, you know, let's talk, you know, what do you need from me,
Mm-hmm.
basically. And then if she needed space, Peeta would give her that space and like come back, you know, when the time was right. But he was just so selfish and so like angry at himself that he didn't really care what Katniss like needed or wanted. He just assumes.
Mm-hmm. It's just so hard for me because again, like I had respect for him at the beginning of the series. And if anything, you want them to have like that friendship and that support because that's what they offer each other at the beginning.
Mm-hmm.
But it's just because of his own need to like pity himself and destroy his relationship with Katniss unless he gets in her pants, which I guess is a true statement, then it's like that's actually reflecting on all these points. I definitely agree a lot more that he did just want to get in her pants because he wants
Like,
to
that's
be
the
in a
only reason that he
relationship.
likes her. He doesn't even really know her.
No, like I mean like he does, but I feel like once we get to catching fire, it's either he wants to be like in a relationship with her forever and live happily ever after with her, or he wants nothing to do with her. So it's kind of like, really, really, man, take some time to
Mm,
mourn, but like you don't need to be her everything.
yeah, it definitely seems like he doesn't, I mean, he doesn't want a friendship with her,
Hmm.
just a friendship. Like, that's not good enough.
Yeah. So yeah, it's just like the end of Mockingjay is its whole discussion too, because it's so like probably Suzanne's best writing in my opinion. Um, just seeing inside Katniss's mind post everything. But I don't know. I'm just like honestly interested to know if like they ever stayed in touch, like down the line, if like whoever maybe he ended up with someone, if he ended having kids, or maybe one day like visiting Katniss and Peeta. Like I'm really curious to know like if they ever even talk to each other again, which is something so dramatic. Like even thinking about it makes me really sad to think that they would never talk to each other again. But I don't know.
Mm,
It just kind of breaks my heart.
I feel like eventually, like, they have to know that each other is okay. Like, maybe they write like a letter like every once in a while. Like this, kind of like people send out like Christmas cards,
Oh,
like with stuff that happened like throughout the year, like sort of, but like that it's not personal, you
Gale's
know?
Christmas card. I killed Prim. Oh my
I
god.
think they somehow like get updates on like, that they're alive and like if they had a kid or like something.
He's
Maybe
like
it's through
another,
through
I found
somebody
another
else. But
brunette woman, so I'm feeling a lot better.
it, maybe Katniss would be friends with Gale's wife.
Ew. Like Gale and Peeta just like sitting in the corner. That would be the most uncomfortable like family friend dinner, you know what I mean? So like let's just set the scene. So Gale comes back to visit District 12 with his lovely wife. We'll say he has two kids, two or three kids. He wanted a few kids. And like Peeta's kids, like the penis kids are out playing with like the
Maybe they become
Gale kids. They're
friends.
all friends. Katniss is talking to the wife, blah blah blah, and then Gale and Peeta are sitting in the corner trying endlessly to create a conversation. Like, just imagine how awkward.
Remember the war.
Like,
Yeah.
what? What would they even say to each other? I feel like Gale would like not even talk to him. He would just be
Remember when
like,
you wanted me dead?
literally, I guess she picked you. Like what would they even talk about? The last conversation they had was about Katniss picking whoever she can't survive without. So Peeta goes, he raises his glass. He's like, I guess she can't survive without you, Peeta. Good job. Like,
She's
what?
surviving. I feel like they'd
How
talk about their
uncomfy.
kids, probably.
And I feel like Gale would be like the like PTA dad that would be like so, well, little Johnny is off doing blah blah blah, like trying to like talk up his kids so much more just because he's bitter.
Oh, but Peeta would like talk up his kids
But
too.
like in a cute way. There's when I talk about like PTA
Yeah,
dads,
yeah, yeah.
PTA mom, they're like, oh, my kid is off at Harvard. Like, what's your kid up to? Like, Peeta would just be like, yeah, they
Well,
learned
he
how to
baked some
finger
cookies
paint.
last week.
Yeah. Like, that would be so wholesome. And Gail would probably just be like, well, he's actually number one at the academy in District 2. Like, no big deal. You know what I mean? Just because he's bitter that he didn't get Katniss. And that poor wife would probably be like awkwarded out because if she found out that relationship, she's like, oh, so there's like a love triangle and I'm like second pick. Okay, cool. Yeah. Like, I don't know. Just a fun little headcanon for everyone.
Random tangent, but I just think it's interesting how a lot of things, like as we've been doing our ballad reread, I keep bringing up Gale, like things that Coriolanus says keep reminding me of things that Gale says, and I think it just like further solidifies my belief that they're like the same personality type.
Oh yeah, ISTJs, aren't they?
No, that's Katniss. Katniss is
Oh, I said that
okay.
was an ISTJ.
See, no, it's INTJ.
INTJ.
Whereas it's young presidents now is INTJ.
Oh, okay.
And
Yeah.
Gale is INTJ. And Snow becomes ISTJ.
Yeah.
Katniss is ISTJ.
So Gale is a little bit of a sociopath.
A little bit. Not afraid to say it.
It's fine. Yeah, but I mean, that's like our look at Gale through the whole series. I mean, are there any other like points at which you were amazed by Gale's actions? Like, do we have like a highlight reel of Gale we want to talk about? Like, I don't want people who love Gale to hate this episode. I just want them to know that.
I mean, okay, but the cute moment at the beginning when he's like throwing the berries and she like catches it in her mouth, like that's super cute.
Yeah, super cute. Talked about the movie, Prim on his shoulders, like waving. We see an actual smile. The raping where they're like interacting. He's like mouthing the words to her, like
cute.
I'm just like picturing like this like slow like montage in my head of like the happy Gale moments. And it's like a very short clip, but like it exists.
Someone needs to make that video.
It just like ends abruptly. It just like shows Prim exploding.
It ends with a bomb. Whoops.
Anyway,
I mean, I always like seeing them in the Mockingjay movies fighting together.
Mm-hmm.
I think it gives a glimpse of like how cool it would have been to see them team up together if they were both in the arena. Like they're pretty in sync when in District 8 and he's got his crossbow and like she's got her bow, like they're gonna take down those hovercrafts, like you know, guarding each other. And in Mockingjay Part 2, like they're gonna go off together, like it's obvious. You know, he wants to help her out.
They always just have this like unspeakable connection, I guess. Like they can just read each other's minds, and it's a beautiful relationship that they have, like in the sense that they can communicate in that way, like they just know what the other's
thinking. Which Katniss and Peeta don't really have.
Yeah,
like they have to talk it out,
but it makes it more disappointing, like I said, that Gale isn't there for her post games because he can sense how she's feeling. Like even though he didn't live through the experiences and he doesn't know what they were like, he still senses something's wrong. Clearly, obviously something is wrong regardless of how she's acting, and he doesn't attempt to even try and like
doesn't like acknowledge it or give her the choice, give her like the agency to figure out what she wants to do, which is what Peeta would do.
That is why we love Peeta. We stand Peeta here. The Peeta Love Club. But I really hope, like, for Gale lovers and Gale supporters, please don't hate this episode. I felt like we talked enough about why we were anti-Gale. And on our live, wasn't it like one of our lives last week, someone asked who our favorite character was? I thought it was so funny. And Emily said, Holly's is everyone except for Gale. And I was just like, I need to explain why it's everyone except Gale. Like, we just have to
Did I say that?
Yeah, you said that.
Oh
or no,
gosh.
Maybe Cherish or somebody in the chat. Like, I feel like it was somebody who...
It must have been Cherish.
It must have been Cherish. It was Cherish or
me.
you, because it was somebody who knows me quite well. And so I just like, I mean, true. I got to explain why I don't like him and why I love 100% of the other characters. But just know that you are entitled to your own opinion. I want to always learn and understand why people love him, because we need to add to this highlight reel of Gale. Any thoughts?
Like, I don't know anything else to say about Gale. I'm trying to think if there's any like more like moments that I really like between the two of them. But honestly, I feel like other than them at the beginning of the Hunger Games and their little like kiss, like what, I think it's cute. All right, okay, like she needed to try it. And then them like when they're in that fighting situation together, and like that's when you really like see their connection, like you said.
Yeah.
I don't really think I have any other.
I've just been like looking at the Gale poster behind you, like the big one while you talk. And like I feel like he's like staring me down, like trying to get me to say something nice about him. Like he's like intimidating. Yeah,
That's what
he's
he looks like.
like don't approach him in the bar, like scary man. But yeah, and
Yeah, I
also
have way too much. I realized putting up posters behind me this week that I have way too much Gale stuff.
that's what I said to you. I was like, I just have this. Like I couldn't find
See,
anything
I'm
else.
surprised you have something from Catching Fire. Like all of mine, at least, is from when I kind of like Gale
Yeah,
in the first movie. But you have a Catching Fire.
it's
He
only
always has that one look on his face.
it's like the eyebrows, like kind of like he's like
It's
smolder.
Smolder.
Yeah,
Yes,
he's
like
Flynn
Flynn
Rider. But to be honest with you, the only reason I have this is because it was like the collectible covers for the Entertainment
Oh,
Week.
do you have like the
I
multiple?
had to get all of them, and so I had to get the Gale one.
Nice.
Yeah, so there was no reason why I picked Gale and didn't get any of the other ones. So that's the only Gale merch I have.
Yeah, I have Men of the Hunger Games,
Oh yeah, I have
which
that one.
all of the posters I have, I'm pretty sure came in Men of the Hunger Games. So
But like
the only
Peter's
time
arms in that poster, or in that
yeah,
shot right
PETA
there.
looks good.
He looks nice. I don't know. He's a short king. But yeah, that's all I have for Gale. Hopefully people don't hate us after hearing this episode.
I also had this other like poster,
Okay, Liam's cute though. Liam's
but
a little
it's
angel.
just like it's Liam. It's
He
not Gale.
looks like
So
a
I feel like
puppy.
it's he's all right looking. I don't know.
Emily and her boyfriend. I love that.
I think that's all I got. Gale
But
Hate Club.
Gale Hate Club, yes. Let us know if you want to be initiated. If you're listening to this after the fact and didn't send us a comment, it's really easy to get in. We accept everyone who hates Gale, so everyone's welcome.
But if you love Gale, like, and you have a reason that we didn't address, let us know.
Yeah.
Because we'll talk about it in the future.
Mm-hmm.
We didn't really talk about how he saves everybody. Wait, that's his highlight. That's his biggest.
That's another
moment.
highlight, except he only saves people from the scene.
Yeah, he doesn't save Madge. So
he doesn't save Peter's family on purpose. Hot take. I don't know.
Hot take. Hot take.
Hot take. I think he did it on purpose, but let's see.
Next week, we are going to be talking about Hunger Games arenas. So all of the different arenas that we see in the book, maybe what our approach would be in that arena, and then we might be game makers a little bit next week and come up with some of our own arena ideas. So that might be kind of fun.
Yeah, I'm super excited.
Gonna be Dr. Gall next week.
Emily scares me with how much she wants to cosplay Dr. Gall.
Guys, that is my cosplay. I have moved on from Effie. Effie was great. Now I'm gonna be. It's all about Dr. Gall.
I'm so scared.
I've already started like getting some different like cosplay items that I've got coming in the mail, and I'm totally starting a Dr. Gall Instagram account.
I'm so excited for this, but I'm also very scared to be around you while
Good.
wearing that cosplay.
You should be. Hopefully it's scary. That's the goal. Creepy.
Definitely a change up from Effie too. From like fashionable to like horrifying. Like
yeah, it's gonna be fun.
Well, I can't wait. But in the meantime, join us, Perfect Bridge, again to our Mockingjay Monday book read along. We're reading Ballad right now. So come read about Dr. Gall with us. That's at 6 p.m. Pacific Standard Time and 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on our Instagram. So join us there. And until then, have a great week.
And we'll see you guys next time.